My name is Nero. I'm a retired professional wrestler and now promoter of Independent Wrestling Universe. My whole life, it was just meant to be. That's how I've always felt. That's how I still feel even now. I was meant to be a wrestler. I think I was about 12, 13 when I got a trampoline, and I spent all my days on the trampoline learning to backflip and front flip and all sorts. I had loads of VHS tapes of wrestling and I'd watch them until they broke, basically. Just tape after tape after tape. I had so many. My first live show was in the year 2000. It was at Kettering Leisure Village. It was a all-star wrestling show, and something quite interesting happened at that show. The first person that came out was my dad. I was sat next to my mum and my siblings, and my mum turned to me and goes, "That's your dad." So that was my first time ever seeing my dad, ever seeing a wrestling show, and he was the first person that came out. I remember it being organised that I got to go meet him after the show. I remember the first thing he did was give me a signed picture of himself. After that, I went to as many local shows as I could in hopes of seeing my dad. And we saw an advert in the Evening Telegraph, the local paper, for the wrestling club. I instantly knew I wanted to go, and I started training at Northamptonshire Area Wrestling Club. A lot of days off school being in pain. I am of the firm belief that 12 years old is too young to start wrestling. We didn't have crash mats or anything like that. Just mangling my body up for the love of wrestling, basically. My first show was on December 9th, 2002. It was in a place in Leicester somewhere. I just turned 13. It was in a working men's club, and there wasn't many people there, so they didn't really react at all. They were too busy getting their beers in. It was so exciting. I was buzzing for days afterwards. It was just an incredible feeling.
My name is Stealth. I am an independent wrestler working in the UK.
I met Stealth through wrestling training in 2002.
I'm in my teens, his teens. It was a natural organic friendship through going to the training.
He was there the first week that I turned up, and he had a flat top, so he didn't have his signature dreads until the next week when I turned up, and he had his signature dreads suddenly, and he's had the same haircut ever since.
My name's Andy, Andy Paul. I am a obviously professional wrestler as by fun, but actually by day, I work for the Church of England as a youth worker. I met Nero a couple of times. He went to my primary school, and from primary school he actually went to the same secondary school I was going to. He's a couple of years older than me. He was the wrestling kid. That's how we were introduced through the love of wrestling through our mutual friend in Stealth.
I met Andy Paul when I was 15. I was having a match with Stealth, and he came over to my house, and we were going over what we wanted to do, and Andy Paul had dragged himself along with Stealth. We quickly became best friends, inseparable. There was one time we were going to Stealth's house. We were walking through some fields, and we had to cross a river to get to Stealth's house. And I was like, I'm not getting wet. I don't want to get wet. So he was like, I'll make stepping stones, and he's jumping across, and he's doing fine. And he gets this big rock, and he just throws it in the water and gets me covered in water. He didn't get wet, but I got absolutely soaked. I was very arrogant in the ring and out the ring. I had a chip on my shoulder. I really liked the idea that I was the best wrestler in every company that I was in, and I like to try and prove it every time that I was wrestling.
One of his catchphrases was, "What's my name?" And it's just Nero Classic. In fact, he turned his name into Nero Classic. That his character was showmanship and ego, which is fine because you have to be some degree to be a wrestler. There has to be a bit of ego there as well. He liked being in the spotlight.
Somebody that likes to be as creative as possible every single time. Big guy, but can fly.
I was technical, but I can move, and I could moonsault, backflip.
Probably more athletic than you would expect from looking at him.
Nero's a wrestler. That was who he was. That's what he ate and breathed, and that was his identity almost.
Wrestling is predetermined. The physicality is real, but wrestling is predetermined in a sense that the wrestlers know who's going to win, who's going to lose. It's like watching a movie.
Wrestling is almost like a religion rather than it being real. I think it's something that you eat and breathe and you live by. Whatever your religion is, when you're practicing it, it's real, right? Those experiences and those things you're doing are real for you. What happens between those ropes, it may look like a dramatized story, but the risks are real.
Oh, nasty. I think they cracked heads there. I'm concerned for Ritmo here. All right, shit. We got to call it. Ritmo's hurt. Ritmo is hurt.
Black eyes, bruises, broken wrists, broken toes, and then the big injury, which was the broken ribs and destroying my chest wall. The big injury happened on 28th of April 2013.
I was there. The show was Corby Carnage.
I actually wasn't.
It was a fairly straightforward match. I'd just taken a backflip from a German suplex, landed on my front, I was fine, I rolled to the outside of the ring, picked myself up via the ropes, and then I was scheduled to do what's called a hangman, so draping the opponent's neck over the ropes to like spring them back and send them back into the ring.
In that venue, it's a very small venue, so the guardrails were close to the ring.
I was in two minds of either to drop to my butt and onto the apron or drop to the floor, and I ended up doing a bit of both and landed ribs first on the angle line of the ring.
He didn't want to jump back too far because the railings were really close, so he jumped and just undershot his jump and then caught his ribs on the apron.
And completely broke my ribs upwards and destroyed my chest wall. And it's very easily done. It's easily done in any move that you do. Something as simple as being in two minds as to do something. The injury occurred. I remember being on a lot of pain on the floor. Rolled in the ring, took a spine buster, which probably didn't help.
But at the time, we didn't think it was anything as serious as what it turned out to be.
And then I went backstage, laid on the floor, and then realised I couldn't get up. And they were like, "You need to go to the hospital."
And I don't think I'd quite grasped the seriousness of it.
It wasn't until later, obviously, we realised the full extent of the injury.
Sometimes you do wonder, me and him we went everywhere together, friends, wrestling. I've been at all the important things in Nero's life, and yet the single biggest defining possibly moment of his life, I wasn't there. And I think more than that, I've asked myself the question, would it have been different had I been there?
I was thinking, stupidly, I've got another show next week. I've got another show, storylines that I had to see out. I was talking with another company to introduce me into their company at the time, and I was just thinking, I got to get better. I can't have time off because any time off you get forgotten about very quickly. I felt stupid at myself because it was such a simple thing. I couldn't do anything. I was going to the doctors a lot, literally like weekly, to have updates, to get sick notes for work, administer heavier pain medication.
I think when he began to start to cancel bookings, I think all of us knew something was wrong, because if it was something slight, you'd just push through. But I think the moment you start to cancel, it's like, this is serious.
I was a very sociable guy at the time.
He wasn't going out much, he wasn't seeing people very much.
And within a 2-3 month period, I was in a state of agoraphobia where I couldn't leave my room. I got diagnosed with chronic neuropathic pain condition, which is where the nerves and muscles and everything in my chest wall are basically sending signals to my brain that say, you're in pain. You're in pain constantly. I have fibromyalgia, which developed because of the trauma from the ribs, which affects every part of my body, my back, my legs. I got diagnosed with anxiety and depression, severe damage to my liver. I have cirrhosis of the liver because of medications. I'm diabetic type 2, which I believe firmly is because of medications and stuff that I've been on over the years. A whole litany of other things that have occurred because of this injury. I became very bitter towards wrestling for a long time. Decided that I couldn't put my family through that again is when I decided that I was gonna say I'm done with wrestling. But I didn't know that I'd still be in pain years and years later, you know. I didn't feel like me anymore. Finn was born in 2017. I was hurt in 2013 and he was born in 2017, so about 4.5 years after I got hurt, he was born. It was obviously a big lift that I had a son, because it was something that me and my ex-wife wanted for a long time. But mentally, I was in a really bad place. My rock bottom happened in 2020.
I think he lived in rock bottom for a while.
Because of many factors, COVID being one, where you can go out, socialize, or do anything. Relationship broke down because of her unfaithfulness.
Since the divorce, so since he moved out, I think those years, I think they were really difficult.
Even now, like, I struggle with the acceptance of my mobility, and at that point it was the worst it ever got. There was a lot of suicidal thoughts, there was a lot of mental health assessments. It was 2022, August 2022. His mum, she had had some issues with Finn. He was having work issues and she basically gave him up to me. I had 6 days to get him into a school. I had 6 days to get him school uniform. It was an absolute nightmare, but we got it done. We was living in a 1-bedroom flat at the time, so he was sleeping in my bed for like 10 months, and we made it work, and now we've got a nicer flat and better place. Finn coming around, I can't be selfish. I can't have these bad thoughts of self-harm or intentions of suicide, because I can't leave my son behind. Being a single dad is hard, but it is so rewarding. It's like molding a child into a human being that is going to be living his own life before you know it. This is Bagel, by the way. This is Bagel. She's a cutie. She's this is part of being a father as well, because I didn't want a cat, but my son wanted a cat, so we got a cat. I'm a better father than I had, because I'm there, I'm present, and I take care of my son in the best way that I possibly can do, and will always do. IWU was a very interesting predicament that I was placed into. I heard about this one-off show that was happening.
Meant to be a one-time thing. Nero didn't get to go out on his own terms and didn't have his last match the way he wanted to because of the situations that happened. COVID did a lot of similar things for other wrestlers as well. So it then came out of a kind of a dream and an idea that maybe we should do this one last show as a bit of a hurrah to the guys who wanted to have their last match and couldn't because COVID kind of shut down everything.
And I got there and I was told that I was doing a promo on the show.
So I'd like to welcome now, a bit of a tribute to the past. Please welcome Nero Classic!
And the promo was very emotional.
I did it all, and I had a legacy to leave behind that, like I said, I never got to say goodbye to.
It suddenly became very real.
So one last time, a little relic of the past. Can you please humour me if I say for one last time?
It was my way of saying goodbye.
What's my name?
I didn't think it was gonna evolve into what it's become now, but it did, and I'm an integral part of IWU now. Current roles in IWU is primarily booker, a promoter, a social media manager, talent scout, everything under the sun, sort out the pay sheets, sort out the ticket sales, sort out the seating plan. I'm the grease that gets everything moving. I said before that I was very arrogant and egotistical as a wrestler, and I was very much just thinking about myself. Every show was about making me the best version of me. But now I get to think about everybody else, and I get to try and make everybody better in every aspect, and every story matter.
My name is Corey. I am a wrestling trainee at IWU.
I met Kid through IWU. I call him Kid, but he is like my second son.
I was going through a period, not last year, the year before, where I myself got injured. And Nero, I wanted to get back to training. I was doing anything in my power to be involved at training. However, Nero, because of his experiences, sit me down, if you will. And that's something I'm very thankful for, because if I would have continued training, I could have made my injury a lot worse and potentially never been able to wrestle again.
I'm very much safety first. I want to make sure everybody walks away and is happy and healthy, rather than doing something silly because it will get a pop and then not being able to walk the next day. Like this last show, we had Ritmo get hurt, and we instantly tried to deal with it in a better way than it was dealt with for me.
Whenever things have gone south, I've always gone to Nero. Nero's always been the first person I called. We were on a phone call for like 2 hours the other week. I was going through something. I didn't know what to feel. I couldn't understand my feelings. However, Nero mellowed me down, spoke me through it, and I'd say I've come out a better person because of it. He's a best mate, an older brother, a father figure.
Commentating became natural to me because I always knew wrestling moves. I've always known the ins and outs of wrestling. To then do it on an actual show, it's like second nature, really.
Oh, was that in the nuts? Was that
Very
in the
close.
nuts?
I really enjoy commentating. I still relish the opportunity to be on screen and be on camera and doing a role like I have done recently. To start the on-screen role of being a character again, I formed the Classic Family Virus. It was a good year and a half, 2 years story that was probably the best story we've had in IWU. It was so fun being the bad guy again. Like that's as a wrestler, I always enjoyed being the bad guy more than the good guy, and I got to be the big bad again. It was cathartic in the sense that I got to be a role. And the best thing about wrestling and the performance side of everything is, like, it doesn't matter what you're going through, like, behind the scenes. You're acting, you're performing, and it you can put on a front. And a lot of the times I was going through a lot of stuff in the last few years that have been very negative, but I'm somebody when I come out and be the bad guy, or I'm somebody when I'm commentating or whatever I'm doing now. Does it meet the same highs? There's nothing like being in the ring, but I'm creating. I think the ball started rolling when I got Finn full time, because I couldn't stay up till 5 o'clock in the morning every night. I had to get up, get Finn to school every day. I had to walk, which is something that I wasn't able to do at the time. It took until this year, so it took 2-3 years before I was able to step into a gym. And I think stepping into the gym pushed me towards doing something like that. It gave me the clarity of mind, just from a bit of dopamine and a bit of exercise, to want to push to get rid of the morphine that I've been on for 10 years. I started reducing my morphine in May and finished that in June. So I'm completely morphine free now.
I'd like to share a memory on just before Nero started to come off morphine, and I was struggling at training with confidence. Nero took me to the side, and we got a bit physical. To see a Nero like move and do wrestling moves, that inspired me, because he's gone through a lot, and to still be able to do his one passion. I had to take myself to the side for a second and be like, that's my best friend there, and he's doing what he loves again.
First of all, I'm really proud of him to do it. That, particularly coming off morphine and stuff like that, is like so hard to do. You know, you hear the negative stories about addictions to those things, and I think he's done it really well and actually relatively quite quickly.
Yeah, the withdrawals was absolutely crazy when it came to the morphine. It was really bad sweats, cold sweats, hot sweats, literally feeling like I've gone cold turkey, and I'd only reduced it by 10 milligrams at a time, you know, and it was scary. The headaches, the pain increased as well. It made me want to just up my dosage again. Like it was scary at times how bad I felt. I'm not recovered. I'm in the process of trying to get better and recovering, and so I don't know exactly if I can answer that. I'm proud of what I have done so far, and I'm trying to get better and better every day. I'm just constantly trying to be better for my son. I want to be the best father that I can be. I want to provide him with the best life that I can, and even if I'm in pain or struggling, deserves the best, and I want to give him the best version of me that I can. And I think being constantly, for the lack of a better term, drugged up on morphine and being a zombie wasn't the life I wanted to give him. So I'm just trying to do everything for him.
What's he doing? Going into the ring and oh my God!
It had been 12 and a half years, and it was scary, but it was exciting. So I wrote it as part of the story for this year. Chris Tyler is our big bad. I wrote it maybe back in January, and it happened in July, and I think that may have been a catalyst for me trying to push myself and trying to get in the gym and be better as well, because I thought in the 3 years that IWU has been around, there's not been any physical interaction with me. I've always been a bad guy and been able to antagonize the good guys, and now I am seen on screen with enough respect that it would create a shock moment. And that's all I was thinking about. I wasn't thinking about my health or the impact it would have on my body or anything. I really wanted to create something for the story that would make people care. And that's when I wrote the bump in. And I think it achieved that. It's scratched an itch. It's lit a fire as well, and it's really scary in a way, because I don't know what I can do with this fire, but I would love nothing more than to return to the ring. I don't think my body is capable. I think my age is against me. I think I've still got a lot of recovery to do. But I would be lying if I hadn't had thoughts of, like, maybe I could do a tag match.
He's got in the back of the mind that he wants to get in between those ropes one more time. He wants to do it. I think he's got to be sensible about it, but it wouldn't surprise me if that's what all of this will lead to.
There's many people in my ear saying that it could happen, and I do feel better in myself than I have done in 12 years.
I remember a period of time where I was struggling financially. I got kicked out. I left home, and I remember it was a training session on Tuesday, and Nero invited me back to his. He fed me. He literally clothed me as well. He gave me a roof to sleep under. I'm very grateful for Nero.
I would probably say Iron Man in that sense of, for those who don't know, Iron Man match is an endurance match. It's a match that you normally do a length of time. It's normally half an hour, or in some cases an hour, and the whole test is endurance because he's gone through a lot. and gone through that and had to endure quite a lot, I would say Iron Man.
So, what's next?
A tag team match. No. I'm in a role with IWU where, like I said before, it gives me purpose and it gives me something to bite my teeth into, sink my teeth into, and get excited about again. I want IWU to be the best it can be, and I want myself, for my son, to be the best that I can be. And that's what's next, is I'm going to push. I'm thankful I've got this opportunity to talk in regards to my injury and my journey. The journey's not over, but it does feel like I'm riding a high, and I want the high to continue. When you say what's next, I'm also asking myself that question, and I don't know. I don't have an answer for it, but I know what I want, and whether I can get there or not, we'll see. But I'm pushing.
Brilliant.
Cool.
Well done.
Cool.
Trying to get Chris Tyler to not hit Andy with the chair.
It's a
Nero up on the apron.
disease